A foreclosure, typically, you need 7 years with a conventional loan. With an FHA loan, you only need 4. And if you have extenuating circumstances, we can look at 3. So again, much, much more lenient guidelines when it comes to credit. The credit score as well, we can go down as low as we need to. Again, just like VA, there isn't really a standard. A 580 credit score is a little bit easier. Okay, so that is another change from 2019 to 2020. It is no longer that it's just whatever credit score is there, as long as the system will take it, we can move forward. It is now a minimum credit score of 580. So that is something that has been changed. Now, I'm going to be totally honest with you, that might not have changed with FHA. That really may have just changed with Movement Mortgage, where we do our loans. It may not have actually been an FHA guideline change, but I can tell you that even Movement Mortgage at 580 right now today is extremely conservative, or actually not conservative. It's extremely giving in relation to many of the other lenders and what their overlay guidelines are. So we can talk a little bit about overlay, which is basically you've got an investor guideline, and then the banks say, okay, well, that's great, Mr. Investor FHA, that you're willing to do that, but we're not willing to take the risk. And right now, the majority of the overlays from other lenders is significantly higher than a 580 credit score. I had somebody call just today who said that, you know, she talked to one lender that told her she needed a 640. She talked to another lender that told her she needed a 600. And our guideline today at Movement Mortgage is 580 for an FHA purchase. So there is a difference between a purchase and a refinance, and so we'll talk about that. But you know, just making sure that everybody out there, I'm trying to be full honesty here, full disclosure that you know, FHA's guideline very well still may be what we were dealing with last year in 2019. Hey, if it'll go, we'll take it. But right now, Mortgage Mom Radio and Movement Mortgage, you know, we can't do that. We're at 580 on those FHA purchase credit scores,
which is really still very lenient. And I'm going to go a little further. Sure. Because we always get the question of, if the investor will take it, why would the bank want an overlay? Bank, mortgage company, lender. So I'll just kind of touch on that a little bit. Is the investor may say 580 is fine. We'll buy it at 580. However, if there's anything in the loan that maybe didn't quite fit that perfect box, the lender could potentially have to buy it back. So they are going to be a little bit more cautious than maybe the investor's bullet point guidelines, because the investor may purchase it, but they also potentially could make the lender buy it back.
Right. Yeah. So it does make it pretty hard. So just having a little bit of fun here. You know, the majority of the people that are going to hear this show are going to be listening on Saturday morning to Go Country. Right. And we're doing it, you know, live Wednesday, YouTube. We understand that this is a pre-recorded video that I did last year, but the show is all about what changed from 19 to 20, right? Right. And as we go, then we're stopping it to talk about what has changed from what you guys are hearing in the background we talk about. And so right where Matt actually stopped that, if you guys were watching YouTube right now, live Wednesday at 5, the look on my face, I look like I'm doing something else. Yes. I look like I might be in the bathroom really, really pushing hard.
Not a great pause moment.
No, that's not a great pause moment at all. So.
Yeah, I didn't want to say anything.
Oh yeah, he's still muted.
I didn't want to say anything, but I don't think we paused on a single flattering picture yet.
Yeah,
so
I'm sure that we haven't, but that's not what this is all about. We just want to make sure we're getting that information out. But yeah, I thought that was actually really funny. People are listening to us on, you know, Saturday morning. They're going, dude, this is the boringest show we've ever watched. And I thought, all right, we'll just throw a little bit of fun in there. We'll talk about it.
We did have a question come in on Facebook from Natalie. It says, hello, with the houses going up and our interest rates going down, I don't see how it's affordable anymore at this point. What do you guys think?
Well, actually, with interest rates going down, even though the property values are up, homes are still affordable. And so it's a different way of wording that. And I can understand where she's coming from, hands down. Yeah. But the property values go up when interest rates are down because people can't afford that higher price. So it's no different if you're buying a $500,000 property at 3%, it's a similar monthly payment to a $400,000 property at 4.5% or 4.75%. Very similar. And we're sitting in the studio. I'm not running a calculator, but right now, because rates are down, properties are more affordable, property values are going up, but people are still affording those. So where we're going to start to run into problems is when property values start to come down, interest rates start to go up, but they go way up.
Right, houses become actually less affordable, even though people would go out and say, I can get this house for $400 that maybe was, and I'm going to be a little bit exaggerative here, but that was $550, right? But now the rates that are at 3 are now at 4.5.
They're probably going to be higher than that.
Right,
yeah.
or at 5, you know.
You're getting the same house for the same money.
Yeah, it's going to cost you the same amount, whereas before your rate was a little lower, prices are going to go up and down. You can actually get more house for your money when the rates are lower, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, and it is something that will happen, and we'll see it happen, and the question is when. We don't know, obviously.
Right.
There's always going to be a price correction. Real estate market goes up, the real estate market comes down, and it's just a cyclical cycle that it does, and I've talked about that a lot on the show over and over again. But just, you know, the most important thing to keep in mind is, am I getting into a monthly payment that I can afford? You know, is this something that I can maintain? Are me and my family going to be happy here? Real estate is a long-term investment. It is not a short-term investment. But at the end of the day, as prices correct, but interest rates correct, you're going to probably still be looking at the same homes, maybe a different price range, but the same exact home for about the same payment. That's just the way it works. So, you know, it is really important for the homeownership to have homeownership. It's important to have your tax deduction. Property values will go up, property values will go down, but the longer that you hold them, the more net worth and the more wealth that you will have, because the property values, even if they do drop on you, will always go back up and then continue to go further. And so it's just, real estate is a long-term game. It's not a short-term game.
And can I just say thank you for asking that question so we can keep that picture on the screen a little bit longer?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Thanks. Appreciate that. To get an approval when we run it through the system, but we're not necessarily stuck to that 580. We've recently closed a loan for a client that had a 541 credit score. So depending on your credit, what is on it, and may determine that you can still buy a home. All right, your debt to income ratio. Debt to income ratio on VA, which I didn't mention on the last slide, and FHA are much, much more lenient than a conventional loan is. The FHA guideline for your debt ratios is a 46.9% on your front end, which we're going to learn in another episode. What is a debt ratio and what is that front and back end? But it is 46.9% on the front and 56.9% on the back. So basically what the back means is that the mortgage payment plus all of your monthly debts on your credit report